Now I'm tying some quick flies for you this week. I'm getting ready for my trip down to the Smoky Mountains. In fact, when this video is published, I hope to be knee-deep in a trout stream. So today's pattern, it's a generic fuzzy nymph, and I can't remember where I got the inspiration from this, probably from one of Dave Hughes' all-fur wet flies. When I was on a kick sometime last year of tying flies with as few materials as possible. So not counting the bead and the wire on this one, it only uses one material, and that's foxtail, hence the name, the One Fox Nymph. Now I have tied this same pattern with coyote tail and raccoon tail, and the raccoon was definitely a different look, but the coyote turned out to look pretty much the same as this one I'm going to do with fox. Now it is a really easy pattern. If I was a guide, I'd probably make this one of my guide flies because it's a quick tie, it's cheap materials, and it has done pretty well for me. But do keep in mind, there aren't a lot of variations you can make with this pattern. Maybe change the bead or change the wire color, that'd give you a slightly different look. But either way, it's a pretty fun tie. So there it is in the vise, what I've been calling my One Fox fly. It's just a pretty standard fly. Only one material other than the wire and the bead. And this is a size 12. It's one extra long, one extra strong nymph hook. And my bead, I'm undersizing it a little bit. That's 2.4 millimeter. A lot of times on a size 12, you'd go with a 2.8, but I like the sleeker look of this. So let's go ahead and put some weight down, maybe 6 or 8 wraps right behind the bead. Now the thread I'm using, it's a black 70 denier. One tip, if you want to just break it off, go ahead and put a loop around your finger, pull a little bit of extra thread out. Now let's put a dam behind it, a few wraps over it, now take it back to the bend. And with that around your finger, you can just break it off pretty easily. And the rib I'm using for this, usually something light, a gold or silver in a size medium or brassie, and this is a hot yellow, so something lighter than the body we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and catch this in right behind the weight. Now, for the tail, body, and thorax, take a medium-sized clump of foxtail fur. And see all that? That underfur right here. Go ahead and pull that out, but pull it to the side. That's going to be our thorax. Now, pinch it from the end. We're going to use maybe a body length right here, maybe just a little bit shorter. I'm going to spin my thread clockwise, cord it up just a little bit, and put 2 tight wraps right here to hold this in place. And I've been putting 1 wrap under and then back over it just to really make sure I'm locked in, because a couple of them I've accidentally pulled that tail out on the next step. So go ahead and move your thread up here, park it about a bead length behind the bead. Now just grab this material right here, this foxtail fur, and spin it together a little bit. You don't want to cord it too tight. I mean, you can if you want, but we're going to wrap it up for the body. Now let's catch it off, and if you want to put a couple wraps on top of each other toward the middle to get a little bit of a taper, I think that's a good look. I'm not sure how vital it is, but yeah, we got a little bit of a taper right there. Now I'm going to counter wrap this rib, catch it off up here behind the bead. However many wraps you want, 6 or 7 is probably fine. It just gives it a little bit more flash, a little segmentation. I don't think it does a whole lot for the weight. Now put a good bit of wax on here and then grab some of that underfur we just pulled out of that tuft of foxtail. And I'm just going to dub this on fairly loose and fairly thick, maybe a 1.5 or 2 inch noodle. If you end up with too much on here, that's fine. We can always pull it out and trim it later. So I'd rather have too much than too little right here. Now just wrap this thorax up, and if it starts getting a little unwieldy on you, maybe tighten it back up. Now a 4 or 5 turn whip finish right behind the bead. Now you could probably just put this thing in your box and fish it just like this, but I usually rough it up a little bit, and then if I've roughed it up too much, trim some of the really long fibers right here. And I did rough that up a little bit more than I wanted to, but that's fine. We'll just snip a few of these right here. So there you go, my One Fox Nymph tied in the round. And believe it or not, this fly's been a fairly durable fly for me. And it certainly caught a handful of fish. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.